You asked for it, and now you got it. Oh, yeah. If you're thinking about raising quail, we're here to help. We've consulted the experts about how to care for them. So, Brian, we hear you've had some visitors again.
That's right. Steve has had some recent visits from a coyote who is a big fan of his turkeys.
Yep.
And last winter, I had a couple dogs that came through and decimated my chicken flock. They took about half the birds and killed them. Well, the dogs came back. They weren't able to get any of my chickens. I got an alert on a camera that I have in the backyard and saw the dogs on the camera, ran out there, and they were trying to get into the chicken run at the time. The same two dogs, but they brought some
new friends.
Some new friends. I think they probably had pups because they were smaller and looked a lot like them, but very aggressive. And so I had to chase all these dogs away. I called animal control. They went over there and issued them a citation. That was about a week ago. Haven't seen the dogs again since. But yeah, after 4 or 5 visits from them since they took all these chickens, I decided enough's enough. So,
but the good news out of this story is, because I know when they first came, your run wasn't as robust,
right?
And you lost chicken, so you made some adjustments.
I did.
Changed the run, and it worked.
They didn't get in.
Yep. So
Wow.
another lesson, and on as far as how sturdily you build things, it made a difference this time.
It absolutely
kept
did.
them out. So good job.
Yeah, glad you didn't have them free ranging at the time.
Yeah.
That'd have been terrible. I don't know if you would have been able to handle it. Can't see Brian sad again. Probably would have had tears this time.
I mean, I had them last time. I just wiped them away before I told you the story.
All right. Well, let's talk about something a little happier here. Quail.
Yeah.
So our goal here is to make it easier for everyone else to run their hobby farms and have different experiences. So we took it upon ourselves to get some expert information and tips on raising quail. And I just curious to see what we all found out here.
Okay.
Let's get it shared. So
Yeah.
first of all, no.
I was just going to say, we don't have experience raising quail. We know people who do, and we know quite a bit about what goes into it. And that's why we've chosen not to have quail, is because we know quite a bit about it. But yeah, we did talk to some friends of ours and find out the skinny on what it takes to start out with quail.
All right. So first of all, why are quail great for a hobby farm?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they're small, right?
Yeah.
We talk about hobby farmers, and it's just like, hey, I have a hobby farm of 40 acres or 10 acres. Sometimes I have a hobby farm of my apartment or a small backyard. Quail are something I can do inside even.
Yeah, in a garage or something.
Yeah, they don't take a lot of space. They're quiet. Makes it easy for those people that's like, I'd really like to be able to be a little self-sufficient. That's something they can quietly do in a garage or a shop like that, say. So they're great for that. And they're fantastic producers of eggs. I mean, they may be tiny, but you'll get 200-300 eggs from these birds every year. They're fast growing. There's lots of good things about quail.
Yeah, those tiny eggs are also in high demand. So there's a lot of people looking for quail eggs. So if you're looking for a product to sell, it's really a good option. And the meat. So quail are a pretty tasty bird, and you can have a meal in 6 to 8 weeks. So that's another great thing about quail. Plus, they're pretty low maintenance. I mean, once you have everything set up, it takes a little bit to get set up for quail, but once you are, it doesn't take a whole lot to keep it going, and they're pretty quiet as well.
So have you ever eaten a quail egg?
I have.
Yeah.
Was it like a Whopper?
No.
No.
Not even remotely. If you're expecting a Whopper and you grab by a quail egg, you're in for a surprise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we have our quail, what kind of housing needs do they have?
So most quail are going to be kept in cages, and these cages require about 1 square foot per bird as a minimum. Ideally, you want to go 2 or 3 square feet, but as a minimum, 1 square foot will work. And you need that cage to be about 18 inches tall. Usually, you're going to house no more than 4 or 5 birds per cage, and 1 male with 3 or 4 females together.
Yeah. Quail sometimes don't get along well with one with another, so that's going to be an important and one of the challenges. Wire caging, that's going to make cleaning up easier. Things are going to fall through the bottom. Along that line of sometimes they don't get along well. Provide some hiding spaces in that cage, some areas for them to get away from one another and to have some private time, so that they don't have to worry about that. The other thing is it because you can do. We talked about doing them in your basement or in your shop. You can do it outside as well. Quail will be outside; they're fine. But quail are snack size, right? They're like the fun size candy bars you get at Halloween. So you got to make sure you have some good fencing because they can offer no defense other than I'm tasty, eat me. So make sure that you've protected against predators.
Predator magnets,
and it can be things like cats. Right, things that I might not worry about with chickens, but now with the quail, all of a sudden I get something else that the feral cats running through. So make sure that they're protected from that.
So are fun-sized candy bars really fun?
Yeah, if you have enough.
If you have enough of them.
It's probably just a little tease. Speaking of food, what should you feed your quail?
Quail are going to take a higher protein diet.
Yeah, they're game birds.
So you're talking 24 to 28% protein. So that's going to be an expense. Right now, they're tiny. They don't need as much. So they'll go through it more slowly. But that game bird high protein is going to be something that you're going to have to go get. You can also supplement with things like spinach or clover, just like you do with your chickens, kind of give them some fresh greens. You can do the same thing with your quail.
Yeah, just not too much of it, right? You want them to eat primarily that game bird feed mix. They're also going to need some fine grit. Just like a chicken needs grit to help digest, the quail are also going to need that, and that's especially true for the layers. When it comes to water, they prefer very shallow water, so a shallow dish, that means you're probably going to have to check it several times a day to make sure that they have adequate water in their cages.
I'm sure you two would love to go check the quail water dish all day long.
Again, I don't raise quail.
All right.
One of the reasons why.
So how do you keep quail healthy? Is it easy, hard?
It depends, right? One of the things quail are known for is dealing with respiratory issues. So check to see, are they wheezing? Are they sneezing? If so, you might need to take care of some issues that are causing that. Overcrowding is probably one of the big things in terms of keeping quail healthy. Like I mentioned, you can only have so many per cage. Probably fewer is better because when they get overcrowded, they start pecking at each other, and they're even more so than chickens or other poultry, they're prone to cannibalism. So watch for that.
Yeah, the other thing to be aware of is they can also have problems with foot infections. So make sure you keep those cages dry. Again, a wire bottom is going to help with that. And quail bronchitis is a somewhat common disease. They could be. It depends on where you live. If that's common in your area, there are vaccines. If you choose to go that route, that's an option. Otherwise, that's something you got to constantly be aware of.
So how often should you let your quail out of the cages? Is it like chickens where you just let them free roam?
Once, and then watch them fly away.
Right before dinner.
There are people who like ground colony raise quail in coops so they can fly. And
typically they're raising them for sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that can happen. Again, you're going to need some big space because again, they don't necessarily play well, especially if you start mixing the boys. But otherwise, they're living in the cage.
Yeah, and that's more of I would say, an advanced setup for folks who are already experienced with quail for eggs and meat production. Say, hey, maybe I'm going to start raising them for sport as well. It's quite a bit different setup if you're doing that.
So apparently the quail don't get along with each other. Do they get along with chickens?
Not very well.
You're not going to want to mix them.
Yeah. Just like if you have like standard chickens with some bantam chickens, they might get along fine, but there's a good chance that if you have a bird that's in the mood to pick on another bird or bully it, it's going to go for that little one. Well, quail are even smaller.
Yeah.
And so if you mix your quail in with your chickens, they're probably going to get bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also got the topic we've talked about before. You know, they have different feed requirements. The quail need a 28, 28% protein. You know, your layers might be more of a 14 to 18%. It's hard to keep them out of each other's food, that kind of stuff. So having them separate is just an easier way to do that. Also, you know, like a lot of birds, they share diseases.
Yeah.
Right. And the chickens can be carriers for things that will infect the quail and vice versa. And so mixing two together, you introduce chances for that to become a problem.
So generally speaking, no, quail and chickens don't mix well together. Although some people will take when they harvest their quail and they take them out, now they'll let the chickens go through all the quail living areas, the cages, the run, stuff like that, so that they can clean it up.
Yep. Any bugs or anything in there, they'll go take care of.
All right. Well, if you would like Brian and Steve to raise some quail, just put it in the comments below.
Brian's got space.
Quail, delicious. Quail eggs, delicious. Raising quail, not appealing to me.
Yeah.
But I see why it is, because I want that quail meal. I want those quail eggs. I just don't want to go through the work of doing it.
All right.
And again, if you live in a place, someplace where there's an HOA and I can't have chickens,
Yeah.
and it's that thing. Nobody needs to know about the quail in my garage. They're quiet. They're small. It's none of their business, right? So there are places where I think quail are a fantastic fit.
Yeah, there are places, and it depends on where you live. I think state by state here in the U.S., it varies. Some states classify quail as poultry, and some states don't.
Yeah.
So if your HOA says no poultry, or if your city or county ordinance says you can't have poultry, doesn't mean you can't have quail there.
Necessarily.
It's a loophole that a lot of people use.
Brian, the rule follower.
I am. I'm not keeping quail. Rules follow.
For the record, we are in 100% support of everyone
Absolutely.
trying any type of.
I want my
farm animal.
neighbors
It's awesome.
raising quail, so I have the access to quail meat and quail eggs.
See, I think raising quail is great. It's just not great for me.
Right.
All right, there you heard it. Some great tips if you're looking at quail. And if you raise quail, share your quail hacks in the comments below.
Quail hacks? Is that like quacks?
Rhymes. And if you haven't already, please take a second to like and subscribe. We appreciate all of your comments. Everyone who subscribes, you're awesome.
Yep.
And as always,
Keep on hobby farming.
That quacks thing wasn't as funny as you thought it was.